brief introduction. We're actually a startup and we're going into a nationwide rollout of a fiber optic network here in Germany. Rural Germany, that is to say. I'm not so much interested in the cities in Germany. They're wonderful or ugly or big, whatever you want to call them. But we're not in the cities, we're in the rural areas. As GlasfaserPlus, big difference. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. A few words. GlasfaserPlus, the challenges we have, the IT organization we have, some techie business, of course, how Bizagi fits in there, obviously. And I'll give you a few insights into the future, near future. Well, that's me. I'm head of IT for GlasfaserPlus since last year, October. I'm responsible for the Agile team, the Agile Scrum teams we have. It's about 50 people in total. 1/3 is internal, 2/3 are external people. All the developers we have, etc., product owners and stuff. And my own background, LinkedIn works. You can check if you want, if you're interested. GlasfaserPlus, that's interesting. I think it's interesting. We were founded in February 2022. Now it's that's not so long ago, with 3 people. Actually 3 people, or 2 people, what did I say? 3 people. They're still with the company. That's good. And we are indeed a joint venture of Deutsche Telekom and IFM. There you go. And IFM is an Australian investor with a long-term view, a very long-term view, because fiber rollout in rural Germany, it's a long-term business case. You don't make money easily on the short term. And of course, this morning I think it was you that said that GlasfaserPlus is a part of Telekom, Deutsche Telekom. Hell no. We're a joint venture, very different. Because as a joint venture, we are able to move around and be fast. As a part of Telekom, you can never be fast. It's not doable, okay? One word about Telekom. I'm very happy with our Deutsche Telekom colleagues, by the way, because they give a wonderful service. But if you want to be fast, if you want to be agile, you need a different attitude, different people, different systems, etc. That's why we chose Bizagi, agile, right? Growth. It's rather spectacular. We started with 3 people, right? A couple of months later, we were with 30 people. Right now, we are 90 people, excluding all externals. So that's only internal people, right? And we will grow to 120 plus at the beginning of next year. Plus 30 or 40 externals. So, that's a lot of people. Most of them are, by the way, at the moment in IT. Yeah. And then again, fiber optic network rural Germany. Very important to realize for everyone, it's an open access platform, right? We do not sell services to the end customer. It's an open access platform. So Deutsche Telekom or Vodafone or 101, everyone who has a service can access the network and sell the services to the end customer. And we have big goals, very big goals. 4 million households in a couple of years' time. Now, if anyone is in the industry, and I believe 1 or 2 people are, it still says 2028, which is wonderfully optimistic. It will be 1 or 2 years later, of course, but that's the world as it is now. Things do delay a little bit occasionally. And of course, the big goals is fully process automation, because you cannot in a couple of years' time roll out and connect that many households without automating your backend process. It's not doable. We started working with Excels, managing our process. We'll still partially use Excel, right? I hate it, to be honest. There's no data consistency in Excel. I saw that from your presentation. You actually export to Excel. Oh, God, don't. Horrible. That data, that Excel sheet, moves around the company and then pops up on the desk during a management presentation, and then they look at me because the data isn't correct. Duh. So don't like it. Anyway, what do we do? There you go. That's Glasfaser. Good German word. That's fiber, right? Fiber optic cable. It's been in the, 30, 40 years or so, at least, I think. Yeah, probably close to 40 years already, Glasfaser. Fiber optic, sorry. And what we do, you would think it's a very technical business, very high tech. Nah, it's handwork. Because the cable has to be laid into the ground. If you roll out an infrastructure, you have to dig. By hand or machine, whatever, but you have to dig. And sometimes the digging is easy, sometimes difficult. We have to cross rivers, railroads, intersections and everything. So it is a pretty complicated manual work, right? And in the end, this is what you have. You have your big backbone, of course, for the German people, magenta, right? And then we go into our bit, and we go into the end user house. That all part of the left is ours, as I said, open access. So Deutsche Telekom here in Germany opens up the network they partially own to everyone out there, including competitors. So any competitors, you don't have to dig out yourself. We can do it for you, and then, you do the easy work. Before, and this is where Bizagi comes in, before we're actually able to start digging, right, before we could get people from all over Europe, by the way, from all over, we have Portuguese colleagues, Romanian colleagues, Bulgarian colleagues, Ukrainian colleagues, Dutch colleagues, they're all digging in Germany, all of them, right? Before they can actually start doing the work, we need to check a few things. We have to follow a process, right? Because you cannot start digging just where you want to dig. You have to go into the field first, say, oh, that could be a nice area. It could be an interesting business case for us. Then you have to calculate the business case. You have to go into the field and check in the field whether the business case could be correct or not. If so, you have to go back. You have to do some mapping, some georeferencing. You have to do some new calculations, where to lay the cable, how deep, how long. Do we have a river somewhere or not to cross? Are we close to the backbone so we can connect easily or not? That comes back. And then we think, okay, that's an interesting business case. We're not making any money out of it. Can we use a subsidy? Oh, we can use a subsidy. Okay, that's a different process. Subsidy is a totally different process. There are in Germany, believe it or not, huge piles of money. They're called subsidy. They're in southern Germany, in Bayern, and in the rest of Germany. So you have two different processes for two different piles of money, depending on where you want to dig. So that's a process as well, right? Once you figure that one out, okay, we have a business case with or without a subsidy, then you can go into the market, that's here, and you have to find a partner to actually do the work for you. Because we don't do the work ourselves, we don't dig. We have to find partners that dig for us. So then we get into the market and say, hey guys, RFP, this is the new area, these are the dates, give us your best price. And then we go to negotiation, best price wins, and they start rolling out. And then we're, depending on the planning on the previous slide. In order to, this is a little bit abstract. This you guys know, right? We have 40 core processes. And these are just 3 of them. And they're really knitting, well, you're all process, well, most of you are process people, so you know what it's like. You have to get the process from A to Z. All that is managed with and through Bizagi. Not completely yet, we're not there yet. But we've defined all the processes. And you think, okay, well, define the processes, get some developers and start working. The interesting thing with the startup is, of course, I'm not sure you realize that if you've never worked with a startup before. Once you start working at a startup, a week later, ideas change. A month later, you have to start over again because things have changed. Half a year later, you have to start partially over again because things have changed. If you grow from 3 people to 30 people to 120 people, every month we get 5 to 10 new people in. Those 5 to 10 new people are actually people that define the processes because they actually do the work. I don't do this work. It's the people in the field that do the work. So when we get new people in, they have new ideas, new optimization of the process. So these processes are constantly under review. that's one of the interesting challenges you have if you work for a company like this. Yeah, sometimes gives me a headache as well, to be honest. So then you may ask, why do we do it? I mean, come on, don't you have better things to do? Well, there are a few technical reasons why we do it, of course. Technically, it's hugely interesting to do a Glasfaser rollout, or fiber rollout, sorry, because it's so fast. And we all like fast internet, right? We like fast internet as well if we are in a holiday home somewhere deep down south in Germany or wherever else. So that's the technical fun. And it's a lot better than coax in rural areas. If you're in a city, not sure. Because if the distance is short, copper is just as fast as fiber is. So, and of course there is a good business reason why we do it. Of course, we say we want to digitize rural Germany, which is true. That's our core. But of course, it's a sound business case. I mean, we're here to in the end to make the money for our shareholders. Of course, it's a long-term business we're in. Going to the techie stuff just briefly. What does the IT landscape look like? Well, this familiar picture. Azure, of course, we have Power BI, we have Bizagi, and we have a wonderful web front end going all over the place. Just in the break, we had a brief discussion on Power BI and Bizagi. I saw wonderful examples on ADA, how we can get new fancy reports, quick answers, etc. Power BI is for us in management the most important tool there is, because it's we're a very data-driven company, of course. You know, where do we want to roll out? Are we making any money? Is it feasible or not? Etc. Those are huge reports. But these reports, as Gustavo said that, every time you look at a report, you want to change the report, right? My CEO, and I'm not exaggerating, every frigging week he has a new report request. Right? And he's not the only one, because he has a new report request. Well, then the other guys too, you know. There you go. So we actually, and we have sprints of 3 weeks, right? So every 3 weeks, we actually launch a new report. Every single 3 weeks, new reports, which is driving me nuts, of course. How do you deal with data consistency there? Because we also have guys, of course, you have them as well, that actually make their own report because they export to your lovely Excel. They get a graph and then they present the graph to us saying, oh, look. But where's the consistency of the data, guys? It ain't there, you know? So anyway, that's why Bizagi comes in as well, of course. You have to be consistent, A to Z. That's the pretty picture. This is reality. Right? A lot of interfaces, a lot of different users, a lot of different databases. And that's where we're struggling as well a little bit, of course. As you can imagine. As a growing company, as a startup, you have to start somewhere, right? So you usually start with a big database and with a Power BI, because that's the only thing you understand. Let's get the data somewhere, and that's, yeah. Then you have quite quickly the discussion, the single source of truth, right? All discussion. Is the single source at Power BI, or is it your database? Database, a big database, is very slow. Well, slow. It's slow in development. It's complicated. It's a database structure. It's frigging complicated. Power BI is terribly easy. You just throw in the stuff there. And after a couple of hours of good thinking, you can have your reports, right? So we have now, and that's what we're dealing with on a daily basis. Of course, part of your sensible data is here, some of it is there, and Bizagi uses both of them. Right? So you see, even if as we are a young company, we're almost already dealing with legacy systems, right? It's unavoidable, by the way. It is unavoidable. So that's the thinking. And I have the hope, I don't see it quite yet, I have the hope that Bizagi with Ada can at least give us a direction of a solution there. Right? Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Does anyone know Smartsheet? Anyone heard Smartsheet before? It's like MS Projects in the cloud, right? It's very quick. It's like playing around with a project plan. It's easy. You can do things very, very quickly. So we actually had to introduce Smartsheet for our project rollout people in order to manage their process a little bit, because Bizagi took too long. Because you cannot define a process, design a process, and roll it within a week's time or 2 weeks' time. We can't do it. Well, we couldn't do it. Maybe we can do it now, but we couldn't do it then. So we had to introduce a separate tool, which is horrible, because that's now you have to. It's like an Excel. Data consistency ain't there, right? So you have to get rid of that and go to that again. So sometimes you're forced into decisions you know beforehand you're going to regret. But what can you do? Nothing. So that's where we are now. This is almost gone. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Another one, Jira. We all know Jira, I think, right? Ticketing system, Atlassian stuff, Confluence. That's part of the data. That's part of our process management as well. The IT organization. I don't have the picture because the picture is too complicated. But as I said, we are with 50 people. We are split into different development teams. We started off with 4 big development teams. No, we started off actually development team per system. We have one Bizagi development team, database, a BI development team. In the end, that doesn't work because a feature or a requirement goes straight through all the systems, right? So we changed that, and now we're taking that a step further. We're actually developing now more into feature teams. Smaller development teams, 8 people max of the 50, 8 people max actually picking up features. And that, that's something we're actually rolling out December, changing the organization again a little bit to make it more optimized. That's fun as well. Now, targets for the future. As I said, 2028, we have to be ready. 2030, we have to be ready. That means that actually we have a target that by mid next year, we have to be more or less ready with our process automation. 80%, because you'll never be ready with process automation, but at 80%. All of our core processes, all of the 40. Because if we do that, then we can actually roll out 1 million households per year. If we don't automate, we cannot roll out 1 million a year. So that's the target. How do we plan to do that? Well, I think I need a core IT team with essential know-how of all the systems, all the Bizagi info, etc., a core team with a flexible people around that, flexible group of experts around that. That could be from any direction. I don't care. But we need the core business. That, of course, is a challenge. Well, how do you keep the people there? How do you keep the young developers, the young product owners, the young architects interested in this? Because let's be honest, after a year, the most fun is over because we're just building with it. So that's interesting challenges of companies like ours. And then data driven. It's only data we're interested in. Only data interested in. So that's why I'm very interested to see what Ada actually can do for us in order to manage or present the data better or find the data better. One of the trickiest things, one of the notes I took when we talk about AI, you ask a question, you get the answer, and then, hey, that's the answer. I still always have the gut feeling, yeah, but that depends on the question I asked. Or that's also dependent on how I programmed it. How do I know I programmed it properly so I get the proper answer to the question I asked? I don't know. I still don't know yet. I still sometimes see answers and think, yeah, that could be right, could be wrong. Depends on how you ask the question. And if companies like ours are getting more and more data driven, that question is getting more critical and essential. And quite honestly, I don't trust AI. because I haven't programmed it. It's still programming, right? If you program it, it gets different answers than when you program it. That's a big question mark here somewhere. I don't know where it'll take us, but it'll be a fun ride anyway. Yeah. Well, that was quick. Questions?
Thank you very much, Henk. Any questions from the audience?
I have a comment regarding your last question. Your last question is a very good question about how can I rely on the answer. In Ada, every question and the query, they get stored so that you can audit the actual query to the the answer to the question regarding it. So let me backtrack. When you ask a query natural language, we ask the AI to translate it into a query into our database, so that we know that the system is not hallucinating and creating or inventing an answer to a question it doesn't have an answer to. And then those get logged, so that if somebody is not sure, like for example, if you ask the question in the loans that are in arrears, the AI is inferring what arrears relates to our database, and it might make a mistake there. Yeah. So we log the SQL query so that people can know that if you say, I'm not really sure, and then you can see the query, you can see the question, and using human intelligence, actually validate, yes, this was the right answer.
Yes. That emphasizes the point that you need internally the group of experts. Because in 2 years' time, no one will understand what we did 2 years ago. So you still need people that understood how it works. Yeah. And you also need, by the way, and you're one of the few senior managers who actually understands what they're doing in this area, because that's your background. I'm pretty sure that my CEO doesn't have a clue. So if he asks the questions and get the answer, he's 100% convinced he's right, because the computer says yes, right? Right. So that is an education there as well for all of us, I think. In this field, we have to educate our colleagues. Come on, guys, please don't stop thinking if you work. Yeah.
Cool. Any more questions to Henk? Thank you very much, Henk. It was very interesting to see how dependent you are also on agility. Yeah, being agile, managing your growth and also your future, and how fast it goes to have legacy systems. Yeah, even as a kind of startup, that gives us a lot of peace of mind that other people struggle with the same parameters. Thank you very much, Henk.